Waiting is where we often find defeat or quit or go backwards, is in the waiting. That's why Corona messed so many people up. Not only the sickness, but the waiting of going back to the normal. And then you had people say, no, this is the new normal. And then you had people say, don't say that, because this is temporary. Amen to that. It's temporary. Maybe Mary and Joseph started believing the hype. This is the new normal, that Egypt's all it was ever cracked up to be. I guess Jesus wasn't what we thought. I don't know that they had doubt. I know that sounds foolish, but they're human. And if you're human, you can think foolishly. God will not only teach you patience in this waiting window, but that's when he gives you vision in the waiting period. Because if you don't ever get pulled aside for a minute, how can you see what God wants you to do? If you're always running the race through the fire, how do you get out to see what's actually burning and what's not? He's got to get you isolated so he can get you focused and aware and back on target. That's why holidays are so important in a practical sense. It's to get you aware, focused, and back on target. We assume when the wait's too long, just 2 more weeks, that God has stopped, but good things take time. You gotta wait it out. You gotta wait. When it's time to return, if you're not careful and stay in your word and stay in prayer, you can be conditioned and not want to leave. Remember I talked about the tingling in your fingertips? How many ever had a limb go to sleep because you're sitting on your leg weird, or you're driving weird, or you slept on your arm weird and you woke up and your arm's this is not working. You start slapping it around until you start getting a little bit of tingling back. And you're like, okay, man, this really hurts. You didn't know it was all contorted in a weird position until you started getting the feeling back. You don't feel pain anymore. You don't feel joy anymore. You don't feel love anymore. You don't feel nothing anymore because you've gone numb in the wilderness. Guess where they are? They're in the wilderness. We don't know exactly where they were, but it wasn't back at home. So they were out. And that's where you can get numb in the wait window. But this is the way you get there. If God sent them out, we know God's going to bring them back when it's time to return. We know God will bring them back when it's his time for them to return back, when they come back. Something happens weird all the time when I'm preparing for these messages. And I feel like it's just the way God speaks to me, but and it's got progressive over the years as I've done this more. The night before, something new will shout out. And the word restriction kept coming to me last night in my sleep. This is so weird, y'all. I'm I don't know. What am I preaching to them tomorrow, God? I got my word, but what am I preaching? I get there in my mind just hours before sometimes. It's a battle. And I said, God, give me the meat here. What is it we're saying? And the word restriction kept popping in my mind. Because if you look at what Herod was doing, he was restricting the fulfillment of the Messiah to the cross. He was trying to stop the mission from taking place. That it wasn't that he was upset that a cute baby populated the earth with +1 more in their senses. He was terrified because he knew thy kingdom come here on earth as it is in heaven, and this is the fulfillment of the Messiah. I know who he is. I know who Jesus. My grandmama taught me about Jesus coming, and now I'm not for him because I got my own power to deal with, and I don't like this, so I'm going to restrict God from doing God. You heard you do you, God do God, the devil do the devil. But when it's time to return, God will find a way. And so God gave them a detour to prevent restriction from the restriction of the purpose. The craziest thing happened last night. At like 10 o'clock, I got a text. Jen, you're going to laugh at this. And I'm like, why on earth would this happen right now? And it was bothering me in my sleep. This is going to sound so silly to y'all until I show you why God made this happen today. We're coming out of a season right now. And when you're coming out of a season you're used to, it's scary. It's scary to go into the new thing. Even when it's a brand new car, it's scary because you're used to the truck. You're used to it. And even when it's what you ask God to give you, you're scared of it. And it's that fear of embracing yet being scared that gets you to keep walking. And so today was a special thing for me that didn't happen. And it's going to sound so silly to you, but I finally got my own bathroom. I know it sounds silly. You can clap for that. Your pastor's got to go to the bathroom sometimes. Oh, my God, they said bathroom at church. It's better than the Johnny. And I get a text last night that my new office and bathroom have been locked out and no one can find the key. I'm serious. I've been waiting for this. You see a toilet, I see coming out of Egypt. And so I said, I don't understand. That key is on the ring. It is for sure. I put it on there. No one would mess with it. I doubted those who checked and said, it is not there. We triple checked. I said, I'm checking this morning. The key is gone. Where did it go? We got this big old honker key ring of like 50,000 keys to this building, and I label them all. I'm too organized for this. And my key to my one room that I've been waiting on is gone. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take the credit card. You don't want to see that credit card. It did not work. It is the most mangled piece of plastic, but yet it'll still run a transaction if you need an MX. I can't get in my office. And I'm like, this is so petty. They're not going to understand this. God, why am I having anxiety about this bathroom? He said, because you're terrified until you open that door and get your meetings with Vince scheduled and get your new chapter scheduled. And you know when you walk in that door, it is finished. You know, when you open that door for the first time, you are out of the wilderness and coming back. And so the devil tried to stop me from getting in my office because he knew when I get in there, I'm going to have my mind shift I've been waiting on for 2 years to come back, because the fingers get tingly when you wait long enough and you come back. And I said, I know, God, if you can get me in that room. And someone stole my key and someone locked the door. And it's just so weird to me. And I said, it's not about the room. It's about the mindset that God is giving you back the reason to remember why you started this thing. And you're finally at the finish line, and you're scared to open the door. And the devil don't want you to open that door. And you're bold enough to do it. But the devil says, I'm going to try to lock it out. I'm going to kill every baby boy in here who's under 2 years old. You getting this? That's what he will do. It's all about a battle of the mind. And if you can see God use the illustrations in the spiritual, you will transpire into the wilderness and back out, which is where we're going to land next week. You'll see how the enemy tries to restrict you. He just wanted to mess me up because he was trying to tell me that Johnny was back out there. I'm like, oh, no, the Johnny's gone, and I don't have a key. What do? I got to go to the gas station. I drink too much coffee all the time. Can I be real? There's another bathroom. How many grateful for the bathrooms in the building today? I can't explain to you my journey. I want to use it as an example for your journey, that everybody has these moments that God will use to show he's still doing something, and that the devil is still stupid and thinks he can lock you out. When I'm calling a locksmith today, we're getting it open. You can't stop me, devil, from my office and my restroom. We got to get stuff done in there. They're coming to paint tomorrow. We got to get it open, devil. You think you can stop the painters from coming? I don't think so, because God's got a key in the locksmith. I know it sounds silly, but you're going to see that. You're going to see God give you this window to come back and remember why. Remember your why. Otherwise, you're wandering in the wilderness going, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost here. When it's time to return, God removes the restriction. It don't matter what Herod tried to do. God removed the restriction to stay out of Nazareth. God removed the restriction. It's time to come back into his house. And that door upstairs represents your decision to stay or go, to call it the end or call it the beginning, because that's actually the beginning. You ask God to give you a beginning. We call December the end, but January is the beginning. It's a mindset of how you look at it. so you can reset, keep your awareness up, and be ready for the next thing and get back to Nazareth. Isn't he good for that? He's going to put feeling back in your fingertips. He's going to put blood flow back in your limbs. Don't get stuck in Egypt like Israel. They never wanted to leave Egypt. Israel never wanted to leave Egypt because they went numb. But this is Jesus this time, and Mary, and they're wiser than that. They remember the struggle their aunts and uncles had doing this thing, and they said, I'm not going to fall for that this time, devil. I've seen you do that before, and I didn't come this far to stop here in Egypt. I'm coming back home. How many want to go home? How many want to come back in 24 home and get out of the wilderness? It don't make sense to you, but it will. Keep thanking God for taking you out, because then he can show you how to get back in.